In today's video, I'll be teaching you guys two different expansions to the Witcher Old World. The Legendary Hunt expansion and the Mages expansion. Now, before diving into this video, I just want to let you guys know I won't be covering any of the base game rules, only new rules that got introduced with these different expansions. I'm also going to be using my big box deluxe version of the game, so some components in this video might look different if you are just using the base game standard retail edition, but nothing should change if you are using the Legendary Hunt and Mages expansion component wise. Now with that being said, let's jump right into the setup and talk about the Legendary Hunt expansion first. To start things off, first you want to set up the base game as you normally would. Next, the players will choose or randomly determine a legendary monster that they would like to fight against for the game. Each legendary monster comes with its own unique ability. In this two-player setup, I have chosen the Ice Giant. Place the legendary monster card near the game board. Keep in mind, everyone should know its special ability. Next, place the legendary monster miniature on its starting location. This is indicated on the top corner of the card. In this example, the Ice Giant starts at location 5. Next, take the large help card and determine if it should be on its A or B side. Now, based off what side you choose on that large help card will determine if you want an easier or harder fight against the legendary monster. If you're looking for more of a challenge, flip it to its B side. For this example, I'm going to keep it on its A side. Next, place it next to the trophy tracker. Now, the goal of the game is to defeat the legendary monster, so I'll explain how that shield level works when it comes to fighting the legendary monster. Just keep in mind, the more trophies that you earn, the lower that shield level will be, and you'll have an easier time taking on the legendary monster. Next, grab the 12 legendary monster movement cards, shuffle them together, and keep them face down near the game board as well. After that, grab all the destructive tokens, shuffle them together, and keep them face down near the main game board. It's best to separate them into different piles so they don't fall over. Next, shuffle all the special fight cards and place them face down near the monster card. You will be using these cards when it comes to fighting the legendary monster. Players are now ready to begin the game. Play will continue as it normally would, with each player taking their 3 phases. Once the last player has finished their turn, it will then go to the monster's movement phase. This happens every single round. Okay, so the monster movement phase works as follows. Flip and reveal the top card of the legendary movement deck. You'll notice in the top corner of the card, there are 2 location numbers. The top number is the main location that the legendary monster wants to go to, and the second location is the secondary location the monster will go to if it cannot reach the main location or reaches the main location and still has movement left. To determine how many spaces the legendary monster will move is indicated on the number of players located at the bottom of the card. The top row indicates the number of players, and the bottom row indicates how many spaces that monster will move. In this example, I'm playing a 2-player game, and this monster wants to move to location 9. It will always take the shortest path if possible. So he's going to move to that location, and because that was 1 movement, it is now going to look at its secondary option location and move there because it still has 1 more movement, which is 12. So it's going to move there. Now, anytime a monster moves from a location, randomly place a face down destructive token in that location. Now, there are some movement restrictions that the legendary monster has when it comes to moving the monster around the board, such as it cannot move into a location that has destructive tokens. So let's say it's late in the game and it somehow surrounded itself with destructive tokens like so. You would then reveal the card to see where it's going to go. In this example, the main location is 4, which is all the way up there, and the monster cannot take the shortest path because it would have to move through these locations with destructive tokens. So if that is the case, then you look at its secondary option, which is number 13, which happens to be directly below the monster, and it's only going to move 1 space. So that works out quite nicely like so. And then you would place a destructive token there. Now that the monster has reached its location, you'll see if it has any more movement left, which in this example, it doesn't because we are playing a 2-player game. But for an example, if we were playing a 3-player game, it would still have 1 movement left. If that is the case, it would have to move 1 more spot. Considering this is the only path to its main location, it would have to move 1 more spot like so, leaving behind a destructive token. The monster will always move around destructive tokens in order to reach its location. If somehow the monster is surrounded by destructive tokens and cannot move, you simply skip that movement phase and continue on with the game. If a player moves into a location with the legendary monster, they cannot take that location action. Players can still move through that location if they wish to do so, they just cannot take that location action. If you wish to take that location action, you must drive that monster away. In order to do that, you must move into that location. So as an example, I'm going to discard this forest terrain card so I can go into this location, and then I'm going to drive away the monster, which means I have to discard another card from my hand. It doesn't matter what kind. So I'm going to do that. And then I reveal the top card of the legendary monster movement deck, which is this. You're going to look at the main location. That is where the monster is going to try to flee to. Although it does not matter the amount of spaces, it's always going to move one space when you're driving the monster away. So in this example, it's going to head towards 3, which is up here. And the shortest path is either this way, or this way and this way. Because there is no destructive tokens in the way, he can freely choose which one he wants to go to. And for the sake of example, he's going to go here. And then I would place a destructive token there. And then I can take that location action. And that is how you drive away the monster. At any point in the game, if the monster cannot move because it's surrounded by destructive tokens, the monster does not move and cannot be driven away. Now, in order for players to pick up these destructive tokens, they must end their movement action on that location. They cannot pick up these destructive tokens if they simply pass through the location. They then reveal it face up and gain that bonus, and then place it on the player board. Now there are a bunch of different iconography when it comes to these destructive tokens, so please refer to the rulebook if you struggle with any of them. Some of them will lower your different attribute levels or raise them, and even allow you to gain free cards from the buying track. Just remember not to apply any of those modifiers. Those modifiers are only applied in phase 3. At any point during the game, if you're not playing solo and the deck of movement cards runs out, simply shuffle it back up and create a new movement deck. Now let's talk about when it comes to fighting the legendary monster. So let's say it's been a few rounds and I feel like I am confident at defeating the monster. I gained 2 trophies so far. Let's say my combat by raising my combat all the way to level 5, meditating, and I defeated a level 1 monster. So I have 2 trophies and I have a few destructive tokens. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to read the monster's special ability because some of these monsters may affect the life pool. Which in this case, during the legendary monster's first fight turn, before revealing the monster's fight cards, the player must discard 4 cards from the top of their deck. If the deck is empty, choose cards from their hand. Okay, so that does not affect me creating my life pool. So I'm going to create my life pool by keeping the cards in my hand, taking my deck, shuffling my discard pile into my deck like so. Now we need to create the monster's life pool by taking the 20 special fight cards, give them a quick shuffle, and placing them off to the side. Now, if you're playing with other players, another player will be controlling the monster. Since I am by myself today, I'm just going to say if it's attack or charge before revealing the card. Now, before the fighting begins, the player will now look at the destructive tokens and count how many they have. In this example, I have 4 destructive tokens. So what this means is the monster is going to lose 4 health from the top of the deck. So I'm just going to discard the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and discard them off to the side over there. If I did not have any destructive tokens, the monster would also attack first and would not lose any health. Also, it's important to know if you're playing solo, for every 2 destructive tokens you have, the monster is going to lose 1. But because I have a 2-player setup for you guys here, the monster is only going to lose that 4 health. Now we are ready to begin the fight. Now it's important to know how many trophies you'll have because this will determine how much damage the monster can soak. So I only have 2 trophies, so the monster will always soak 1 damage every single fight turn. So I'm going to play a card from my hand and I'm going to deal 2 damage to the monster, but because I only have 2 trophies, you can see how it lines up down here. The monster is going to soak 1 and only take 1 damage. So I'm just going to discard 1 card from the top of the deck. I'm then going to draw back up to my hand based off my combat level, which is 4 cards. So I'm going to draw 4 cards. The legendary monster will take its turn, and let's say it is going to bite. So I'm going to reveal the card, and this one says the player discards 3 cards from the top of the deck. So I must do that. I actually don't take any damage. I must discard 3 cards, which kind of sucks. So I'm going to discard 1, 2, 3 cards, place them off to the side. I just lost a lot of defense there, but this will continue. Now, because this is the monster's first fight turn, I also lose the top 4 cards on top of my deck, and I'm running out of cards pretty quickly here. So I'm going to play these 3 in the combo. This should be my discard pile. I'm going to play these 3 cards here. This also must, before resolving this combo, if your shield level is at 0, it's not, so I don't get to do that special ability. This is an advanced card. Keep in mind you might not have this card if you do not have the Monster Trail expansion. I just want to point that out. So I'm going to play these 3 cards like so. It's going to do 1, 2, 3 damage, and I get to draw an extra card. Again, the monster is going to soak 1 of that damage, so it's going to take 2 health off. 1, 2, and this will go into my discard pile. Okay, let's say it's going to be a charge. The monster performs its first special attack. So now, anytime you see this symbol, you're going to look at the monster card and read whatever attack it is. This example says it's number 1, so it's going to perform its number 1 attack. The player takes damage equal to the number of destructive tokens on the game board. So let's say there's only 1 on the game board, so I'm only going to take 1 damage, so I'm going to lower my shield level by 1. That is how that works. If there was more, that could be pretty bad. Okay, so let's see if I can do a lot of damage here. So this is my best combo. I'm going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I get to raise my defense level, draw 2 extra cards, -1, so I only get to draw. I don't have a deck, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to do 8 damage, -1. He takes 7 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The monster has 4 cards left. The monster will go again. Let's say this is another charge. The monster will use its 3rd special attack. Again, I'm going to take a look at that card. The player takes 4 damage. The player may not play any fast blue cards this turn, the next first. So I take 4 damage. I forgot to raise my shield level. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm still alive. And he has 4 life left, which total means I need to do 3 damage. I have 4, soaks 1. I don't have any more cards left in my hand, but I do defeat the legendary monster because I do 4 damage. It soaks 1, 3 damage. There you go. I was able to defeat the legendary monster. Even though I did run out of cards, it still counts as a win, and the legendary monster is defeated. If the player fails to kill the legendary monster, the player is defeated and the player must draw 1 destructive token at random from the pool and gains the bonus immediately and place it on their player board. And then continue play as normal with that player entering phase 3. Now there's something quickly I want to bring up if you are playing with the Monster Trail expansion and the Legendary Hunt expansion. The Monster Trail expansion adds a new component called bombs. There's nothing in the rulebook that states that you cannot use bombs against the legendary monster. However, if you do use bombs, you might find the fight a little bit too easy, so I'll leave that up to you guys if you wish to use bombs against the legendary monster. But I suggest if you do that, to take the help card and make sure to flip it to its B side, so it's at least a bit of a challenge. Now let's move on to talking about the mages. To start things off, attach the mage game board extension to the main game board beside the buying track. Next, grab all the mage's action cards that look like this, shuffle them and place them here on the game board. Make sure to remove any of the mage's starting cards which have their symbol in the top corner of the card. Also remove their advanced cards that match their player board. Each advanced card will go into the mage's starting deck if you are playing with the advanced cards. If not, simply just remove them from the game. Setup is as follows. Just in the base game, make sure there are 3 zero-cost cards in the bottom 3 slots on that mage's buying track. And the other 3 slots are filled in at random by flipping the top 3 cards of the mage's action deck. Next, each player can choose a mage at random, or players can choose among themselves. If players are playing with other players that are playing as witchers, witchers are placed on the board at their respective school first, and then players will place their mages at witcher schools that are not occupied by other players. Place your matching school token to cover up the Witcher school. Take your special token and cover up the special slot in that Witcher school to showcase where you can train your special. Next, give the mages the appropriate number of trophy cards based on the number of players. Alright, now that setup is done, I just quickly want to break down the mages player board. Now, there are some key differences between the mages player boards compared to Witcher player boards, such as they have their very own unique attribute known as wisdom instead of defense, and they have an energy level instead of a shield level. Now, how wisdom works, whenever you level up your wisdom, that will keep track of your energy level, such as defense and shield level on Witchers. So whenever that is leveled up, you can increase your energy level. You can do this by training at any Witcher school and paying gold to level up wisdom, or if a certain effect of a card causes you to increase your defense, let's say, you increase your wisdom instead if you're playing as a mage. Same thing if a card calls for you to lower your defense, you will lower your wisdom instead. The energy level also works the same way. Whenever a card calls for you to lower your shield level, you will lower your energy level. Same with increasing it as well. You can train any of your attributes at Witcher schools as well, except for your special. Again, same as Witchers, you can only train your special at your starting location. And that is indicated by your school token on that school location. Now, your energy level does not work the same way as shield levels. Now, your energy level will not prevent against damage in combat. However, they do have a slight advantage because you may increase your energy level that is past your wisdom level in combat to help you play more powerful cards. I'll explain that a little bit more when we get to combat, but right now, let's take a look at some of those mages action cards. Alright, I just quickly want to explain what these different symbols on these mages cards means. Most of them don't come into effect until combat, which I will show you an example of, but it's important to know what these symbols are when it comes to buying some of these cards on the mages track. So, just like as Witcher's action cards, this symbol means attack, this symbol means draw an extra card. Now this is a new symbol. This means when you play this card, you must lose 2 energy from your player board. So if I were to play that card, I would lose 2 energy, like so. This is also a new symbol. This symbol means you can look through your discard pile and take any 1 card. Another new symbol here, this means that you can cast protection, which will help prevent against damage on your opponent's next fight turn. And this would block 1 damage. I'll explain that a little bit more when we talk about combat right after this. Again, this means lose 2 energy. These symbols mean you gain 2 energy. So if my energy level looks something like this, I played that card, I would gain 2 energy like so. Now, it's also important to know when it comes to raising your energy level due to these cards, it can go past your wisdom level. So as an example, let's say my wisdom level was 3 and my energy level was here, and I played this card. I can move it up to its max, even past my wisdom level during combat. But after combat, I must always reset it back to its maximum level, which is 3 there. Okay, here I have a basic fight set up. A mage against a monster. I've created the monster's life pool. I've created my life pool. First things first, I'm going to read the monster's card to see if it affects my life pool. Before the player creates the life pool, they reduce their shield level by 1, so I must do that. Because that says shield level and I'm playing as a mage, I don't reduce my shield level by 1. I reduce my energy level by 1, so I'm going to lower that there. I only have 1 card in my hand, so I'm going to start the fight because I do have a trail token, and I have 2 potions I can use if need be. I can deal 1 damage, cast 2 protection for next turn. I gotta spend an energy to play this card, so I'm going to do that. And then this symbol down here means I can deal damage as much as my energy level, which it just so happens to be 0 because I had to spend it to play this card, so that doesn't give me any extra damage, so I only deal 1 damage to the monster. So he's going to take 1 damage, then I'm going to draw back up to my combat level, which is 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, and the monster is going to take its first fight turn. So let's say the monster is going to charge. The monster is going to take, the player takes 3 damage, but because I cast 2 protection, I only take 1 damage. So I'm going to discard the top card of my deck. Kind of a good card. Let's see if I can combo anything. Oh, I can. Ooh, I don't have any energy though. So what I'm going to do pretty much is I'm going to play this card, a 1-card combo again, and I'm going to gain 2 energy. It is now the monster's fight turn. Oh, first I draw back up to my combat level, so I'm going to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. And this time, let's say it's going to be a bite. Oh, and this time I take 2 damage. I don't have any protection this turn, so I'm going to take that 2 damage by discarding the top 2 cards of my deck. And let's see if I can get a combo here going. I most certainly can by doing this, this, and this. This is a pretty good combo here. So I'm going to gain 2 energy, but because this card costs 2 energy, they pretty much cancel out. But I get to return this card back to my hand. And then I can do cast protection and deal 1 extra damage. So in total I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4 damage, and I cast protection, and I get to return this card to my hand. So that's how that's going to work. So the monster takes 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1 protection, and this card goes back to my hand. Draw back up to 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Again, let's say this is going to be a bite. The monster takes 4 damage. I had 1 protection, so I take 3. I lose the 2 remaining cards in my deck, and I must discard a card from my hand. I'm going to discard this green one. The monster has 3 life left. So I'm going to see if I can do 3 damage. So this is my best combo to deal 3 damage. It does cost me 2 energy, which I do have. So I'm going to spend those 2 energies. 1 damage, 3 damage. I can draw the top card of my discard pile. That doesn't really matter, but I also have 2 protection. But the monster is defeated for 3 damage. And again, I will move up on the trophy track, gain this card for a trophy, energy level back up to its maximum level, and go right into phase 3, the buying phase. Now, when it comes to phase 3 and it comes to buying and gaining cards for mages, they must discard cards from the hand and buy any card from the buying track. I currently really like this 0 cost card, so I don't have to discard any cards to gain this card. So I'm simply going to take this card and place it into my hand. Now, because I took this card from the mage's slot on the buying track, I must remove the opposing card on the witcher track. So now that card gets discarded and removed from the game. Everything slides back down and a new card will be revealed. Like so. And the same thing would happen if a witcher would buy a card from their track. The opposing mage's card would get discarded. Now that also goes for any effect that allows you to gain a card from the buying track. If you're playing as a witcher and you take a free card from the buying track, then you must also discard a card from the mage's buying track, and vice versa if you're playing as a mage. One more keynote I want to bring up: if you're playing as a mage, pretty much any effect in the game that will affect a witcher, the same effects will apply to a mage as well. If you have any questions about that, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to explain that. And that is how you play the Legendary Hunt and Mages expansion for The Witcher Old World. Let me know in the comment section down below which expansion you guys want me to cover next, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.